Good morning, everyone, and blessed Saturday to you. Another weekend upon us, another weekend to take care of our body, mind, and spirit, like I'm always talking about. I will tell you that this week has been a tough one for me, especially on my spirit. The killing of George Floyd was horrific, and another stain on our country and on our relations, as a people. And there was so much that was going through my mind this week. So many conversations I've had here in the house, with other friends, just about the situation and where we go from here. And again, there was so much that I wanted to share, and I tried to sit down and write, and it was tough coming out. And so this morning I was able to sit down and actually get some words down on paper, and what ended up coming out is one, I wanted to share with you a little bit of my experience of being an African American male here in the United States. And for those of you that know me, you know how I was raised, my family, the values that I was raised upon. You know that I'm educated. You know that I'm a career professional. You know that I have businesses. You know that I truly care about people. I'm always trying to help people, to lift them up. People of all races. People of all genders. And I truly care. And the sad reality is, so many times all of that goes out the window and doesn't matter, because the first thing that people see when they interact with me is a 6'3", 215-pound African American male. And unfortunately, in the times that we live in, that persona is threatening to many people. And so, what you find yourself having to do is, in many situations, you have to end up diffusing a situation that doesn't necessarily need to be or should have to be diffused. But because you understand how you could be perceived, are being perceived, I make sure to have a smile on my face. I make sure to say a kind word. And even if I may not feel like it at that time, I understand what people may be thinking. I've been in situations where I'm walking down the street and someone crosses the street, someone of another color crosses the street when they see me coming, only to go back across the street after they've passed me. I've had women clutch their purses when I walk by. I've had people roll up their windows and lock their car doors as I walk by at a stoplight. I've had people follow me around when I go into stores, trying to see, what I'm doing. I've had all those things happen. And again, the sad reality is, if those people knew me, they would know that there was nothing for them to be fearful of at that point in time. But it's the reality. It's the shell, that I live in. It's the body that I live in. It's the skin color that I have that have caused many people to judge me before they even know me. And that gets tiring, and it's frustrating. And it really, causes you sometimes to really not, I wouldn't say I don't have anger, but just this you don't know me, but you're judging me. And it's tiring. And I think you've heard many people say that in different social media platforms or different things. People have shared how tiring it is, and how much pressure it is, and how, when I go into a situation, again, I'm always aware of my surroundings. I'm always constantly aware of the situations that I'm in, and understanding that many times Um, I have to really be careful about how I act and what I say and what I do, and you know, unfortunately there are conversations I've had to have with my sons, especially at younger ages, conversations that you probably, you know, shouldn't really have to have with your sons at a young age, but you have to, so that they can survive, so that they can come home alive, so that they know how other people may be perceiving them. And many times, unfortunately, those may be people in a position of power or people in a position where unfortunately they can take your life. And so it is tiring. It is tiring. You know, you see it over and over again, and you get frustrated. And you see a lot of that frustration boiling over right now. But having said all that, I still have tremendous hope for us as a people, and I'm talking to all people. I think I shared a few weeks ago when I was talking about great leaders and what great leaders have to have in them, and I talked about 4 traits, and I will tell you that those 4 traits are what great people who want to be great, people who want to be better, you need to have these 4 traits, especially in this time, and that's integrity, communication, empathy, and courage. You need to have integrity so that you can call out injustice when you see it. Not just when you see it on the news, not just when it's put right in front of you, but when you see it in your workplace, when you see it in your neighborhoods, when you see it in your homes, you know, calling out that injustice. When you hear people say things that you know shouldn't be said, you have to have the integrity to call that out. And that integrity is key, because it's what you do when the cameras aren't on, it's what you do when people aren't watching, that's most important. It shows who you really are and what you stand for when people aren't watching. And so you have to have integrity. And with that integrity, you know, it allows you to then have communication. And this time, we have to communicate. You have to start communicating with people who are not like you. We all have to start communicating with people who are not like us, so we can understand them, we can listen, we can communicate back to them our thoughts, our fears, our anxieties, and we can have this communication so that we can start to understand each other better. If we do not have the communication, the understanding will not come. And without the communication, we can't get to the next step, that next trait, and that's empathy. We need to learn how to walk in someone else's shoes. We need to understand when people tell you that they're fearful and that they're scared, and that they're scared that this could be them next. You need to understand why they say that. You need to understand why we view each other a certain way. You have to have that open and honest dialogue. And with that open and honest dialogue, you develop the empathy, and you're able to walk in someone else's shoes. Because at that point in time, when you can walk in someone else's shoes, you now understand where they're coming from. You also understand how you can be a solution to the problem. And then at the end, it's courage. It's going to take courage for each one of us to stand up and act. It's going to take courage for us to call out our friends and family members when they're saying things that we know are not correct. When they're saying things that we know are only, you know, causing the racial divide. And that's something we all have to do. We all have to have the courage to change. And it's not going to be easy. None of this is easy. If it was easy, we would have done it already. But we have to do it, guys. We have to. To me, it all goes back to love. And you know my foundation, and you know my faith in Christ. And at the end of the day, he calls us to love each other as we love ourselves. And we have to do it, guys. That's the only way we're going to get better. We have to do it. I know we can do it, and we will do it. But it takes integrity, communication, empathy, and courage. So ask yourself what you're going to do today. Ask yourself how you're going to move the ball forward in your sphere of influence and make a change. God bless, guys. I love you. Take care.